This demonstration is going to show how we can use Artcam component libraries. We can bring them back into a new model and change them with the sculpting tool. So open component libraries. We're going to look at some settings first of all, and we'll choose probably a 4-claw collet for the time being, 4-claw round, 8mm. I'm going to change the size of this one now to around about 6.5. Yeah, I think 6.5 will be fine, and we'll import that into the model that we're going to start making now. Okay, there's a 4-claw collet. These are all made up of separate component parts. There's a top bezel and an under bezel and 4 claws in this particular model, and we're going to change this, just show you some of the component parts that are inside. Before I do that, I'm going to look for a setting, and if you look at settings here, we have 5mm, we also have 7mm and 3mm, and they're just between the shanks really, the sort of size of collet that you're going to pick for any particular shank. But also these can be sized, and you can use the sculpting tool to change the sizes. So first of all, we're going to go for a little fancy shank D, 5mm size Q. I'm going to change the size here now. So using, I'm going to use a size P instead. I'm going to change the width to about 3.5mm, and we're going to import this model in. And there it is, straight away we have it on the screen. So now it's the collet's sitting a little high. I just need to, sorry, a little low. I need to move that up into place. So I'm going to use some of the nudging tools. I'll close the component libraries down, and we're going to use the claw. I'm just going to nudge it up into position. We'll change about to 1mm at a time. That's too much. Just down a little bit. Probably 0.1 will be fine. So 0.1, and nudge that up into position. Okay. Inside some of the component parts that we have from Artcam, there are separate parts inside that you can move around, and you can alter quite drastically the item that you've selected. So for instance, on this one I want to have a look inside now. I'm going to open it up, and here you can see an under bezel, top bezel, the diamond itself, and I'm just moving the under bezel up now. I've just selected it and I'm moving it up and down. Also you can use the claws and change the claws around. So it's always worthwhile having a look inside some of the component parts, because you can change them. I'm going to type in 45 degrees here, change the angle of the claws. I'm going to add an 8-claw now as well. I'm going to drag some more claws in. So if we take the tapered round, drag it up to the top again, you see the plus sign, it'll now copy another one of those into the same folder. So now I have 2, and if I rotate this one, I'll use this one now, and I'll rotate this, same again, 45 degrees, and now we have an 8-claw. I'm going to make a new little folder for these claws all to sit in together, so they don't, so they stay together when I want to move them around the screen. So I'm going to just say assembly, type in new. I've put it in the wrong place, so I'm just going to drag it up. It's quite dynamic, the assembly. Just drag this up into the 4-claw. You can see a new assembly now is here. I'm going to drag the items that I want into that assembly. So the ones I've just made, and the previous ones, the actual original ones, just drag those in as well. So everything now is contained inside the new assembly. It just makes it easier to go around the screen when we're moving around the screen. So if I just open these up now, you can see all the claws are inside. They're all part of that collet, part of the head. Okay, now we're going to just change that to claws, so I know what it is when I come back a little later on. I know where all the claws are stored. And I'm going to rotate that again now around about 22.5 degrees, half again. I want the claw to sit either side of that shank. You can see quite nicely we can make these things happen quite quickly too. Okay, the first part of the ring is done. I now need to take away the bottom section. Sometimes we build these as separate parts as well, but on this particular occasion we haven't. So I want to sculpt this particular section out. I'm going to now select it and unwrap it, and Artcam now will select a particular ring size for it, the one I've already chosen, and it's going to unwrap it for me so I can start working onto that surface. And you can either work on the inside of the surface or the outside with the sculpting tools. Now here I'm just going to switch on the 2D view so you can see, and the dynamic colouring. I want to go back to the 3D view, and this little is a zero plane here. I just want to turn that up, turn the back one on, which will cancel them both out, so we can see both back and front now. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is to take this thing out from the back, and I'm going to use some of the sculpting tools for this. So we're going to the project folder. I want to open models. The project folder is really nice now for keeping all the models together and all the information together that you need. I want to open the models. I'm going to go into the back file here, and I'm going to start sculpting. Just need to take away the original model. Mustn't forget to do that. Take away the original model, and it's best to do it in the project folder really. So here, just hide this one, and now I'm only dealing with the Artcam relief. Using the sculpting tools now, I'm going to just take away the inside. So go a little bit closer. Make sure on the correct level, on the relief level here. I need to be on. And we can select, and you can see it now. It's already fading away quite nicely. If I just use a bigger diameter, a bit more strength. I want to add here, not merge. And I'm going to use that again, a little bit more power, and I think that should be okay. Just check everything's okay. Make sure on deposit tool. Now we're depositing from the back because we're pushing up the model. We're pushing up the supports from the back. So eventually it'll disappear through the front. Okay, that's quite nice. Quite a neat little tool that we have now for this type of thing. Dynamically we can change any particular shank or collet that we bring in. Okay, I've taken that away from the back. I'm just going to check the collet now and use the automatic tool for punching a hole through. So if we go and have a little look at the hole puncher, it's this one here, subtract assembly. It'll now go away, take the collet, and just punch out those last little bits on the side so I don't have to sculpt them. And if we have a quick look now, we can see all those bits are gone, and it's made a complete section for that to clip in, for the collet to clip into that shank afterwards. I'll switch on the 4 claw again. Oh, it's an 8 claw now, I should say. And we've finished all the modelling. Okay, now I'm going to go back into the assembler now because I want to load in another component library just to show that you can change things quite quickly. So there's one ring that we already have. I'm going to hide it. I think first of all, before I go to get another collet, I'm going to use the mesh creator and just put this into my library. So I've already changed it. I'm going to explain in my write-up here that I've changed it. I've changed it to a size P this time. So it started off as a size Q, but I've changed it to a size P. And I'm going to now create this as a 3DA and put it back into my library. So it's just creating that. I'm going to add to project. That's perfect. Okay, so the ring that I've changed is in the project folder now. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is to load a new ring, just a different type of ring. So I'll go into the assembly, the project folder, and the component libraries again at the bottom. And open the component libraries up. And I'm going to choose a different type of shank, probably a split shank at the bottom this time. Picking size Q again, and we're going to say I want to use a size P this time, so I'm changing the size. I'm bringing it in straight out of my library, and I want it to be around about 7mm, I suppose, for the split. When you import a new model, it's you should always remember to toggle on the view to make sure that you're going to see it when it comes in. So just make sure that's on. I'll just do that again. You can see it's in now this time. I've toggled on the little chest at the top of the screen, and both of them are visible now. I'm just going to turn one of them off. I'm going to hide the back one. And there's still an RLF model in there, one that we've just altered, so I'll just turn those off as well. So now we've got the STL, or the 3DA model I should say, the mesh creation model. So that was a quick one, very simple, done. And again, you could change those, you could sculpt it if you wanted to, but in this particular instance there's no need for this one. Okay, I'm going to bring in another model now, the assembler again. I want to use something from the component library. I'm going to bring this first one here, this fancy shank A. There are some hollow versions in here, but I'm going to pick Q again. We'll size it to the P because that's the size that I want. And I'm going to use, say 4.5 or 5 millimeters on this one, for instance. Okay, we'll take away the crossover ring, and now we're going to just unwrap the model so we can start working on it in the modeling view in the Artcam, in the relief modeling. When that's unwrapped, we'll work on the surface. I'll just fold these away, turn the gem back on, and I'm going to look at the front relief, and I'm going to add a new relief layer. This is the layer I'm going to sculpt on for this particular model. So on the front surface, I want to sculpt these out because it's too blocky at the moment, and it goes straight through the collet, and I want it to be a little bit more delicate. So I'm going to hide the original model because you don't want to be carving when the original model underneath, otherwise it looks like nothing's happening, but you're actually carving away. Now I'm going to use the carving tool, and I'm going to start carving the edges away now. This is the unwrapped model from Artcam. I'm going to carve this away. Just ease this down. Okay, once we've done the one side, we'll be able to write the opposite side, just using the mirror tools really, in the top of the panel there. I'll just finish this edge off first, and then you'll see what I mean. I've just added a little bit more strength onto this. I'm just going to just touch up these edges, make it a little bit more attractive around here. Just smoothing away now with the tool. I just want to make sure this edge is right first before I start taking in the material away on the inside. Okay, once I have that, I just need to just reposition a little bit more here. Just going to slightly remove a little bit more from this edge here. Now, previously we had to make some vectors in Artcam to drive the rails on the inside to do this type of work, but now it's much easier with the sculpting tool. Okay, we're going to use the relief modelling. I want to go bottom to top first, so from the bottom over to the top and apply that one. So we're just doing the left hand side now. So you can see I've done that side. I just need to do the opposite side on the right, so it'll be left over right and apply. Okay, that's the shank complete really. All I need to do now is to remove the material from the inside. And I'm going to use the back file for that, so we'll just open up the project folder again. Project folder is really powerful now. You can do most of the things in your project folder. I've just added a new relief file, and I'm going to start sculpting now on the back here. So sculpting settings, but this time it's going to have to be a deposit tool from the back. It's a carve tool from the front, but it's a deposit tool from the back because we want to put material on from this side. And we're actually pushing it through now to the other side. It looks like it's taking it away actually, but it's just a peculiarity of the way Artcam works. We have to use a deposit tool on the back, but it literally carves away the material as it goes through the front surface. So I'm just repositioning now, just taking that last few parts out, sculpting around the collet, and being able to do this dynamically now means that we can see all the things that we're doing and how we want that finished model to look. So I've just turned the power up and the setting down a little, the diameter of the tool down a little, and I'm just going to carry on sculpting on the inside edge. See, it's just disappearing, just like an erase tool really. Okay, I'm going to take the gem out, I think, so I can see a little bit more down the centre of the gem of the collet. So we'll just hide that gem. Right mouse click and hide, and now I can see inside. And again, I'm going to use the sculpting tool inside. Just make a bit more power on there so it goes away quicker. There we go. That's quite nice. And we'll use the collet punch again for this one. Just take away the majority of the material first. You can do it either way around, doesn't really matter. You can punch the collet through first, or you can just do it this way. Okay, just that last little tad to do. I'll just have a quick look at that foreclaw now. I just need to select the foreclaw, and I'm going to use the punch tool again. Make sure nothing else is open, so select it, top assembly. It'll switch on the subtraction tool, and then Artcam will do it automatically. Brings the collet out, punches it straight through the Artcam model that you were dealing with. And if we have a quick look now without the collet in place, I'll just hide it. And you can see just left a few little bits that we can sculpt out. So I'm going to use the sculpting tool again for that one. On the back relief, that's a mistake. Oh no, it isn't. We're going to use the back. That's fine. So although I'm looking from the front, I'm actually sculpting up from the back, just to remove those last few pieces. You could do it either way, really, it doesn't really matter. Okay. I'm now going to take these last few parts out. I think I'll take those out. I'll try from the back first. I think if I'm left with a few little pieces, I'll take those out from the front. You don't really have to be that particular about this particular surface, but we will take those out. I'll go from the front this time, and we'll change the you see it's putting material back on there because I've got the wrong layer. So I'm just going to pop into the back relief here, go to the front relief now, select that one, and now I'm going to start using that instead. And we should just be able to carve those last few pieces away. That's it. That's good. You can see the little dark shadow as it's getting close to the part that you want to remove. Perfect. Okay, that'll do fine. I shall switch on the claw again, make sure that's in place. Just need to switch the stone back on again. Right mouse click and show, and you can see everything is in place now. Okay, I just need to make that as a full 3D model now. It's still an Artcam model. I want to make it into a mesh and put it in use it as part of my library. So again, we go to the mesh tool, and we're going to create a mesh with the back relief. And add it to the library. So some nice new dynamic tools here that we can use so we can see the shank in place, and we can manipulate the material around the collets or whatever else that we're making at the time. Very powerful tool. Okay, so in around about 15-20 minutes we've made probably about 4 or 5 items actually. So if we just turn all these back on again now, and then we can show them all. This would be quite good for a customer who comes in to the shop who's not decided what they want to buy, and you can show them all the different options that are available. I'm just going to nudge those out the way now. I'll just nudge them backwards and forwards so we can see how many we've done. So I'll go 20 for the first one. Let's nudge that out to the front, and again the next one I'll just change that to around about 15, something like this. Okay, there's the original one that we brought in plus the one that we've changed. I'll go for the next shank, and we'll go backwards. That one 15, that's the split shank, and I'll go 22 or something for the last one. For the big shank, that's the original, and there's the one that I've changed that's on the actual ring at the moment. Okay, that concludes the demonstration for carving and selecting from libraries. Just seeing how powerful those two options combined together can be.